So as promised, In Search of the Fourth Chord on vinyl, unboxed. In 2007, this album was released, and unusually for the time, it was put out on vinyl, but it was only on one disc, and it omitted some songs and cut others down as well to fit on to that single disc. A few years later, earMUSIC and Fourth Chord Records released In Search of the Fourth Chord, and it's the full album. They've recently reissued this, and this is what this is. And instead of that one disc, we now have two discs, which encompasses the entire album. No edits, no skips, no omittances, like it's all here. But if you're used to the UK version of the album, you'll know I ain't wasting my time at the end. This is modelled after the European version, which has One by One at the end. So the aforementioned song doesn't appear on here, One by One does. So let's first have a look at this cover. Now, anybody who watches or listens regularly will know that I'm not a huge fan of this cover. It kind of, I don't know, it sent them up in ways that as a fan I wasn't entirely comfortable with. But this cover blown up like this, I must say I'm coming round to it, because we have this Indiana Jones inspired scene with Francis and Rick, and then the logo that's very Indiana Jones. You know, it's all a send up of the entire thing. It looks really cool blown up on here, as you can see. I mean, the attention to detail. I love that you can see the lines and stuff in ways that I'm not sure you could really see that well on the CD version. So that is the front cover. Now let's go inside. Now if you had the CD edition of this album, you'll recognise this. This was a fold out in the CD edition. This just has all the sort of details on band members and production and all that kind of thing. And there's this nice design around the edge which fits in with everything else. And now we come to the back with a 2007 contemporary image, which I still see occasionally around, used for several things. And we have the track listing, which has on side A, beginning of the end, All Right, Pennsylvania Blues Tonight, I Don't Want to Hurt You Anymore. Then on side B, Electric Arena, Gravy Train, Figure of Eight, You're the One for Me. Then side C, which is disc 2, My Little Heartbreaker, Hold Me, Saddling Up. And then side D, Bad News, which is a long song, Tongue Tied, and finally One by One. So as we go inside here, we have the band logo on one side with this sort of parchment effect there, and then the lyrics on the other side to the songs on the disc. So let's get this disc out. And what we see is a yellow styled Status Quo lettering there with In Search of the Fourth Chord on the inside. Now, you might be wondering, how does it sound? Well, I can tell you, I listened to it the other day, it sounds fantastic. In fact, this is one of those albums which I would argue has a lot of atmosphere with it. In fact, probably the most atmosphere in a Quo album, I would argue, since Just Supposing, I think. There's just something about that music, you know, something about the songs on here and the way they're produced. You've got this nice kind of bass up in the mix, and the, you know, there's certain little flourishes here that kind of suit this format really well. So that's disc number 2, so that has the lyrics on that side, and then In Search of the Fourth Chord, Status Quo there. And then disc 2 is the same as disc 1 really. So yeah, that is your 2 discs, and like I say, they sound amazing. So that is In Search of the Fourth Chord, 2-disc vinyl edition. Have you bought one? And where did you buy it? Did you buy it at your local record store? Do let me know in the comments below. It was just magic for me to hear this on vinyl. I didn't hear the 1-disc edition back in the day, but hearing that they cut down tracks and stuff, to hear the whole thing is just brilliant. Thank you to Heathen Chemistry Records for supporting this video. Will you be picking this up? Do let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you again for another episode of the Quo-Cast.